A primary principle of competency-based system is designing with the end in mind, or backwards design. In this video, my colleague Jill and I will share exactly what we mean by that and how you can incorporate competency learning in your district. Hi, I'm Mariel from Education Elements.
And I'm Jill Thompson.
Welcome back to our Student Competency series.
In our previous episodes, we talked about the importance to shift to competency-based learning to best meet the needs of all students and what competencies might look like to facilitate that process. If you haven't seen our previous episodes, click on the description in the playlist.
Yes, make sure to check out those first. So let's talk about how you can get started with competency-based learning in your district. Let's think backwards or with the end in mind. What are the desired learning outcomes you want students to be able to walk away with at the end of the day? And what potential steps need to be taken in order to help a student get to where they need to be?
A portrait of a graduate is an ideal starting point when thinking about making competency-based learning shifts because it allows you to clearly articulate the qualities that are important to you as a school or district that relates to what the student should know and be able to do by the end of a learning experience. While they're typically written for outcomes of a 12th grader, the term graduate can be used loosely. You can start with any grade level. For example, a portrait of a 5th grader.
A competency-based learning environment is deeply connected to the community in which it operates. So making time and space for others to weigh in on what graduates should know and be able to do is essential to making sure your graduate profiles are reflective of the people who make up your community. Gathering this input might take the form of one-on-one interviews, focus groups, or community town halls. If you're looking for more guidance or resources to structure these opportunities to include the community in your portrait of a graduate authoring process, be sure to check out our Equitable Inclusion Guide for tips on making that experience as powerful and inclusive as possible.
Great call out, Marielle. The guide provides great guidance on purposefully structuring conversations with all stakeholders. I think it's important to call out when you get started, your portrait might start off in pencil instead of pen, and you might refer to it as a sketch versus a full-blown portrait. When you are ready to take the first steps in sustaining and maintaining a high-fidelity, competency-based learning environment, though, all stakeholders need to be clear on what is expected of students. Eventually, it will be important to be explicit on calling out the connections about what the students are learning on a day-to-day basis and why that will help them actualize the portrait of a graduate.
We're curious to know, have you created a portrait of a graduate for your district? How are you using it to make learning experiences more purposeful and connected for students? Let us know by responding in the chat. And better yet, drop a link to your district's portrait of a graduate so we can take a look. As you're doing that, here's an example from Stamford, Connecticut. We've had the pleasure of working with Stamford Public Schools Anchor at Harbor Landing to develop their portrait of a graduate and use it as an anchor, pun intended, for our competency-based redesign work with them. As you can see, these graduate outcomes are broad, holistic, and multifaceted. Qualities of a graduate of Anchor in this example will demonstrate a variety of skills, knowledge, and abilities to be successful in their future.
Great example, Marielle. Once you have completed the portrait of a graduate, it's time to start thinking about the mission-critical learning that actualizes that portrait. In other words, what competencies are students working towards mastery in their day-to-day learning? As a reminder, these competencies should be a cross-cutting collection of standards that can be applied to a variety of contexts and situations. They also should be accompanied by a performance criteria that allows students to identify their performance level and where they can make improvements.
If you're interested in getting started authoring competencies, start by selecting selecting one course, grade level, or subject area. Sit down with members of your team or department and take a look at the standards associated with your chosen domain. You might write them all down on sticky notes and place them on a whiteboard or common surface. Begin to affinity group them and see where trends are emerging. How might you label certain collections of standards and skills?
Then, take a closer look at that standard or skill and assess the degree that that standard or skill is mission critical for students' future of learning. This is the time to think critically if it's important for what students need to know. Where should teachers be spending most of their time teaching? Ideally, it should be on those subjects and topics that are closely connected to the portrait of a graduate.
It's important to note that this process will take time, but it's an important first step in solidifying a competency-based foundation for your school or district. By being clear, intentional, and strategic about the learning we want students to take part in, we can craft more equitable learning experiences that prepare all students for success, while also allowing for ample opportunities for students to bring more of themselves to their learning. We hope your gears are turning and ideas are sparking for you as we close out our student competency series. Let us know in the comments what you're thinking about right now. If you're looking for a thought partner to help you think through CBE in your district, please reach out to me and Jill or check out our website at edelements.com. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified when we release new teaching and learning videos. And if you like the content we shared, please like this video. Thanks for joining us.